What will I ruin today? Who will I ruin today? These questions, portentously spoken, are absolutely not at the heart of the action game Ruiner. The questions of Ruiner are masked by commands. The silent protagonist is commanded by a wizard to kill the boss. This muted mannequin is then commanded by a hacker known only as Her to kill Wizard instead. Her calls the protagonist Puppy, naming him something helpless and willing to be commanded. Even death does not allow Puppy the sweet release of eternal slumber, as the hacker commands the killer dog to get up.
Get up and try again.
Her whispers to Puppy, revealing the masked man's true goal, to find his kidnapped brother. Puppy has no time for questions, only time for commands, repeated over and over, demands of slavish devotion. This is Ruiner. Ruiner is the name of the default weapon in the game, but that does not even begin to explain Ruiner. Ruiner is set in the ruins of the future, ruining all the way. Ruiner is called Ruiner because of the extraneous ruination of other humans, robots, and inanimate, inflammable thingamabobs. A slow-motion execution is called a Ruiner kill. Puppy is doing the ruinin' with violence most ultra. Why the game is called Ruiner does not matter. What does matter is brain matter that skull-splodes across every level, oozing its way down open drain pipes, discarded like so much useless waste. Ruiner is catastrophically violent, spraying blood, praying for mercy, an isometric deathapalooza infused with a lethal dose of hot neon red cyberpunk. Ruiner is vermilion times a million. Ruiner is the reddest game since Redemption. Ruiner speaks to me, and what it speaketh is, play Ruiner. Okay, so how do we play Ruiner? Ruiner is a twin-stick shooter action game from an isometric perspective. Conjure the arcade carnage glory of Smash TV in your brain space, and rotate the camera of your mind until it looks like Disco Elysium. Either that, or load an image in your memory of Postal, and think about how much better it would be if we could zoom in closer during the heinous executions. Puppy can heal himself on glowing health squares and regain abilities the same way, and collects currency called karma. In Fallout, karma determines your angelic and devilish qualities, earned through agonizing over moral choices, and then making the maybe right one. In Ruiner, karma is blood money, plain and simple, and it is earned at the edge of a katana. Karma purchases abilities in the skill tree, bearing fruit both poisonous and sweet. I put a lot of my karma into dash and shield powers. Best offense is a good defense. Plus I'm a big fucking pussy. If Puppy can crushionate enemy after enemy without getting shot or stabbed, the combo meter raises. Obliterating a room full of meat dolls ends with a scoreboard. Ditto for the end of a level. Between levels, Puppy wanders the city of Rangkok, owned and operated by a sinister corporation called Heaven. But then it's back to the action on the coolest motorcycle on Earth. Those are the basics. So now, let's discuss
flamethrowers, yeah!
I love flamethrowers. If a video game allows me to use a flamethrower, I will always choose the flamethrower. If the flamethrower is not a particularly effective weapon in the game, I will still probably use the flamethrower until I reach a point in which I need to equip a more powerful weapon. But until then, flame on. The flamethrower in Ruiner is called the SCR-1 Hellfire, and it rules hard, fast, and hot. It's a perfectly efficient weapon comparable to or more powerful than everything else in the game's panoply of armaments. But that's not all. There is a flaming melee weapon as well, for when you want to be so close that you can smell the ash. Speaking of fire, and when am I not really, everything in Ruiner fireworks up to 11, decorating the cyberpunk future with flames hotter than the stacks from Blade Runner. Of course, there is a plethora of non-fire-based firearms, such as its exact opposite, the freeze ray. Ice to see you, haha, remember that thing? Sure you do. There are so many gun options in this game, scattered across the factory floors, waiting for your eager trigger finger to lay waste to inevitably corpseified future punks. Look at this gun, fantastic. In Ruiner, when a screen is cleared, a weapon grinder emerges to eat all the excess guns and transmogrify them into karma bucks. You know what I want to buy with the money that I made from these guns? More guns. Ruiner is more abundantly violent than the very hottest Miami. You know what? These are merely my personal faves based on games that I have played. Nobody needs to jump out from behind the bushes and shout in obnoxious accusation, "Why not the Team Fortress guns?" I don't know, hypothetical dumbass. Maybe because I don't play the same games you play, you imaginary weirdo. Number 5. The grenade launcher from Duke Nukem 3D. I love how the grenades bounce and roll around before annihilating whatever I want to get dead. Number 4. The gun from Terminator 2, the arcade game. It was attached to the cabinet. Number 3. The Big Johnson from Shadows of the Damned. Suda51 loves making everyone who plays his games think about wanking. Is this commentary on the shallowness of our existence? Or is this mocking discomfort he thrusts upon us merely his fetish? Number 2. The shotgun from Doom. Yes, the regular shotgun. Look, we all love the super shotgun from Doom 2. We all asked for the super shotgun for Christmas, and all we got was a threatening letter from the FBI. While the super shotgun is definitionally more super than the ordinary shotgun from the original Doom, the reload time makes the ordinary shotgun a more reliable weapon under pressure. Furthermore, the sound effect is crunchier. That's a good sound effect. Number 1. The spread gun from Contra. It's just you and your buddy against an armada of aliens who happen to have landed in a jungle setting, doubtless inspired by American involvement in the Vietnam War. How will you defeat them? The aliens, not the Vietnamese. With a gun that fires red orbs all over the screen. Gorgeous, delicious sound effect as well. Do you have the balls to save planet Earth? Now you do. Ruiner fits jaggedly but otherwise perfectly into the cyberpunk science fiction subgenre. A superficial reading of what is and is not cyberpunk usually revolves around technological dystopia, but cyberpunk does not merely concern itself with technology run amok. Cyberpunk instead concerns itself with who controls that technology. If modern history from the Industrial Revolution to the Computer Revolution has taught us anything, it is that new technology will be owned, branded, copyrighted, and abused by capitalists. Capital controls media, whether news, entertainment, or social. Innovations are controlled through this modern-day enclosure. The more we rely on modern convenience, the more power is given to capital, and the more we are at their command. Technological innovation under capitalism does not launch humanity into the heavens. Only the wealthy can fly. The rest of us can only look up. Puppy is both perpetrator and victim. In fact, everyone is. There is a villain named Traffic King, and his business is probably exactly what you think. The king may be the most vile creature in Ruiner. He is also being played, but with no other options on the table, Puppy and his hacker accomplice enslave the king and frequently torture him to advance. Rather than present Puppy with a moral choice, the game forces the player into a morally dubious situation. And not just once, over and over again, Puppy must torture the king to move on. Tormenting him is the key that you must turn in the lock to finish the later stages of the game. This is getting a little heavy. I need a break.
On your mark, get set. We're riding on the internet, cyberspace, set free. Hello, virtual reality. Interactive appetite, searching for a website, a window to the world, got to get online. Take a spin, now you're in with the techno set. You're going surfing on the internet.
Going out?
Just getting some ice.
Ice. We've got ice.
For every cop that has ever taken advantage of somebody,
Fact. You and now all my bitches.
beat them down or hurt them because they got long hair, wrong color, whatever they thought was the reason to do it,
Help me! I'm bleeding!
Shut up, she should have killed you. You're under arrest.
I'd like to take a pig out here in this parking lot and shoot him in their motherfucking face.
So if you want that information, you gotta come back in with a search warrant, okay?
Let's get something straight. First, spit that lollipop out before I smack it out your mouth.
You make us get a warrant, we're gonna call the feds.
And I'm gonna shut this toilet down and put your little ass in jail. You understand me? Jail. Where you're gonna be sucking on something else. Now what you wanna do?
Do you believe in magic? Do you believe in magic? One, two, the things you do in your room when you're all alone. 3, 4, you want mom or whatever cure that was. 5, 6, finding bliss when you're drunk or you're doing drugs. When you're drunk, when you're drunk, when you're drunk, when you're drunk, when you're drunk or you're doing drugs. Do you believe in magic? Do you believe in magic? When you're drunk, when you're drunk, when you're drunk, when you're drunk, when you're drunk or you're doing drugs.
I loved Ruiner so much and was so eyeball-popped at the clatter and splatter of this heart-pounding rib-cage exploder that I wondered why this game did not make more of an impact. Out of a perverse curiosity that in hindsight was absolutely a mistake, I scrolled through the Metacritic page for Ruiner. A few reviews were right on the money, as far as I was concerned. Destructoid, PC Gamer, to name a few. But the average score was brought below that all-too-important 8 out of 10 due to less than spectacular enjoyment from the folks at IGN and Polygon. The IGN reviewer said that it was too hard to be fun. Buddy, did you try playing it on easy? No shame in that. Ruiner is not Dark Souls, you can simply turn the difficulty down. Polygon said that its non-stop combat got in the way. Okay, but the non-stop combat is the game. It's a combat game, non-stop-like, to infinity. Game World Navigator claimed that Ruiner was far more pleasing to look at than play. My dude in Christ. The player is interacting with the visuals. The visuals are part of the play. These are not fully separate entities. For the record, I don't need my graphics to look ultra-realistic. I just want my graphics to rock. In fact, let us sit in awe of the visuals, the bright lights, the gloomy lights, the doomy fights at night. Every sonic boom, chronic blast, and histrionic scream of the game is cranked to maximum Mona Lisa overdrive. Ruiner sparkles like the world's sickest fire diamond. Cyberpunk is more than an aesthetic, but it definitely has identifiable visuals due to the Blade Runner movies and other punkian filmic outings. Cyberpunk in novel form predates the 80s, but cyberpunk movies were so heavily influenced by 80s technology and 80s aesthetics that neon features prominently in the decidedly well after the 80s future worlds of the subgenre. Ruiner goes for dark neon, a wash of red, but not bright peppy red like the Coca-Cola sign from the aforementioned Ridley Scott feature film, a foreboding red, a blood red. If you wish to focus on the visuals which have no such interaction, we can do that too. Ruiner has bespoke cutscenes in a number of styles. Sometimes it's a 2D comic book style, a graphic novel for the most graphically violent game, a manga extravaganza, and sometimes it's fully CG 3D Matrixian game movies. Although the PC version of Ruiner has a 7.5 on Metacritic, the Nintendo Switch version of the game, which was released more recently, reaches beyond that elusive 8 required to convince the average gamer to buy it. The graphical capabilities of the Switch, unlike the PC, cannot possibly be jacked up to max graphs, but it has a higher score nonetheless. My best guess is this. Nintendo players and critics who review for Nintendo players actually like to have fun, and Ruiner is more fun than a barrel of Donkey Kong bananas. Frankly, the only score that matters to me these days is the Steam rating. In total reviews, Ruiner is very positive at 89%. Taste is a subjective mouth guesstimation, and I would never tell anyone that liking or not liking art is wrong, but I am firmly in that 89%. Very positive indeed. I have seen some takes about Ruiner claiming that it is repetitive. First of all, no it's not. There are tons of skills and megatons of weapons to shake things up. Big bosses, environmental hazards to avoid, new bad guys introduced all the time. Also, even if I were to concede that the gameplay is repetitive, so what? No really, so what? If I enjoy the gameplay, I do not require it to be broken up by meaningless side tasks and mini-games. Don't get my pretzel twisted though. A mini-game within the main game can be good. There are examples of this, I know. But if the main game is great and the mini-game is only okay, you can probably just ditch the mini-game altogether, especially if it's mandatory. Hacking in Ruiner is not a mini-game, because A, it blends far too seamlessly into the action to feel separate from the main thrust of what is happening, and B, it takes like 5 seconds. The fact that it resembles hacking does not make it a hacking mini-game, or even a hacking side diversion. It's a simple quick-time event as opposed to an obnoxious, unfun sewer tube misadventure. If I wanted to play a game with sewer pipes, I would play the original Mario Brothers, cracking crab legs and eating the meat inside. Ruiner has no time for computer hacking or crustacean cracking, because you know what time it is?
It's time to die.
You want repetitive? Check this out. At this point in the game, I came to this fiery pit, and hordes of the baddest baddies dead or alive came crawling out to eat my helmet off. Naturally, I burned and shot them all, waiting to clear the area, but it never cleared. This was not a bug though. It's a never-ending massacre pit that the game expected me to pass by after shooting my way through. Only I did not recognize this as an environmental hazard. It felt seamless, and my mind did not register it that way at first. Once I finally recognized that this blood ocean would never stop rising, I understood that I needed to move on to play the rest of the game. But then I thought, why? I was having fun ventilating these soon-to-be cadavers, and I wondered how high I could stack them like mile-high, rooty-tooty, fresh and fruity blood cakes. Most weapons in the game have ammo limits, but basic melee weapons and the titular Ruiner gun can go on and on without suffering an empty clip or breaking. This went on for a while. I'm gonna check my email. Oh, I may have already won something. Nope, this is spam. And so is this. Gosh, I really liked doing this, didn't I? You know, in the real world, I don't much care for guns. My semi-revolutionary politics notwithstanding, I can't really call myself a revolutionary because I don't own a gun, and I don't want to. But in a video game, I love guns. I love shooting things with guns in video games. It's harmless fun, and I don't think I'm ever going to get tired of it. Also, swords. Swords are cool too. Here's the part where I get to the sword. You know what, I should probably move on. Oh yes, the music. Fasten your earbuds and prepare for a love seizure. Ruiner contains within its ones and zeros a soundtrack of infinite numerical value. You have been listening to it this whole time. Cool, right? Electronic, industrial, brain-melting sex music. The Ruiner soundtrack sets the mood like a scented candle that burns your house down and has you falsely investigated for arson. Not so fun fact, when you Google Cyberpunk into the infamous search bar that has been scorched and earth-salted by fraudulent AI answers, the sci-fi subgenre is not the first result. It's the video game Cyberpunk 2077. Search engine optimization has at least marginally obscured the works of sci-fi novelists who popularized cyberpunk, like William Gibson, Neil Stephenson, and Philip Penis. As a vid kid, I should be pleased by this gaming mainstreaming, but I am not. Probably because I did not care for Cyberpunk 2077. So shallow was my caring pool that I did not bother to finish it. Therefore, I shall not give it a thumbs up or down. Such is my integrity. Ruiner, that I finished. And it turns out that this game still has life 7 years after its release. Only a couple months ago, it was announced that a Ruiner movie will be made. It's going to be directed by the same guy that's directing the Legend of Zelda movie. Tough back-to-back projects. I admire the ambition. Perhaps this will provide the cash flow and incentive to create a video game sequel as well. My last few videos have somehow won the attention of the developers of the games. Dennis Dyack himself wrote about my Blood Omen video, Running with Scissors commented under my Postal 2 video, and Goop Lord liked my Freak Hunter video. Maybe I'm pushing my luck, but if the developers of Ruiner are listening, please make Ruiner 2. I want to find out what happens to the guy and that thing that happens. For the sake of new players, I'm not going to spoil all the twists and turns of the plot here. You will have to discover that for yourself.
Do it, puppy.
Hi everyone. If you want to support what I do, please like, share, and subscribe, and leave a comment under this video. I also have a Patreon at patreon.com/renegadecut. I'll see you soon.